Thank you guys for joining me. My name is Madar from Food and Fragrances. Today we got a banger of a video. This is not going to be a top 10 list of any sort, but we're going to showcase about 12 fragrances to you. Some you may know, some you may not know, but the list is quite extensive and there's a purpose behind it. Today we're going to put these fragrances in a gauntlet of some sort where we kind of explain the thought process behind barrier breaking fragrances. So when I talk about barrier breaking fragrances, what that means is there's going to be a certain stage. For example, we're talking about dupes. At what point do you start saying, okay, the next stage is maybe a designer, and then after that the next stage is maybe the privé of a designer line, and so on and so forth. So if that sounds interesting to you, drop a comment for me down in the comment section below and let me know what your journey was like. But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll roll my music, and when I get back we'll start talking about the list that I've concocted for you. All right, I'll catch you guys. Peace. So, seems like you guys are interested. Awesome. Thank you guys again for joining me. Madar from Food and Fragrances. And today we are breaking the barrier of smell, the other sense that we're here for and what we talk about on this channel. So, a barrier breaking fragrance to me is something that you've kind of stumbled upon, whether you've decanted, sampled, whatever the case may be. And for you, you've thought, damn, I can't go back a step because this is that much better than, what I could have ever expected. And for me, what happened was when I first got into fragrances, I went to my local Shoppers Drug Mart, just a regular store, and I sampled a Tom Ford, Ombre Leather, to be exact. And I thought Ombre Leather was the bee's knees. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was one of the best fragrances I've ever smelled in my life at that time. And then I joined a Facebook group. I started kind of dabbling here and there until I stumbled upon a sample of Creed Viking. And when I smelt Creed Viking, I'm not going to say it's earth-shattering or anything like that. There was something that clicked for me that made me say, damn, there is things that are much better than what I thought I knew, which was the Tom Ford at that point. And for me, I thought Creed Viking was something that was spicy, aromatic, something that I didn't know about, because Ombre Leather is a leather-based fragrance. It's it has its nuances of being a cooler weather fragrance, something heavy. But when I smelled Viking, I was like, damn, there's so many different notes in here, so much cleanliness. The aroma was less chemical. What am I missing out on? Which then made me start dabbling in a whole bunch of other things. So to me, that transition from Tom Ford Ombre Leather to Creed Viking was the barrier breaking fragrance. So excuse me if my terminology is obviously not correct to the olfactory senses or whatever the case may be, but that's how I kind of want to present it to you. So what we'll do is let's talk about, a couple of the fragrances that I've chosen here. Cool? When I started my fragrance journey, I kept hearing about Creed Aventus. Aventus this, pineapple this, birch smoke that. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I really want to explore that. But I don't think at that time I was ready to spend $300, $400, $500 on a bottle. And then all the talk about batch codes and playing Russian roulette with the bottle that you got. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't think so. So like pretty much almost every collector did to start the journey. They started with Club de Nuit. Yes, Club de Nuit, the Aventus dupe. And you know what? Honestly, it's a good smelling fragrance. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a good smelling fragrance. Yes, at the start, it does kind of smell a little bit like lemon pledge, but then when it starts drying down, you get that Aventus-like DNA, that pineapple, that citrusy components. It's very nice, very clean. To me, it lasts quite a bit of a long time. This is the Intense Man. I think this is Eau de Parfum, but either way, huge bottle, friggin' ridiculously cheap. And you're sitting there and you're just like, yeah, this'll do. This'll do. Like, I actually like this. It's nice. It's very close to what people are telling me about. It's nice. But obviously, when you're talking about dupes, the creativity isn't there. The originality isn't there. It is what it is. You're going to wear this. You're going to smell good, but it's not going to smell high quality. The ingredients that are being used are not going to be high quality. That's how they keep the price down. But otherwise, it's a really good fragrance. So let's move on to the other dupe. Now, not necessarily a dupe, and it's debatable, yada, 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 but this is Al Samad Qureshi's Qureshi blend. Now, people will say this is very comparable to Blue Sapphire from Bottega, and yeah, it's very true. It's definitely on the same vein. I think the complexity and nuances of a Blue Sapphire is definitely much more elevated. But again, when you're talking about price points, comparison, for some people, this will do. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, I don't want to necessarily call this a dupe, so I'm not going to call it a dupe. But I think the next barrier breaking level is your Middle Eastern fragrances. A lot of it is done relatively, I don't want to say cheaply, but quickly, very hurried. And you can tell that on the first spray of the fragrance. Now, luckily, Al Samad Qureshi, I think, is probably one of the better fragrances in that category, the Qureshi blend. Again, very Blue Sapphire-like. It smells nice. It's very elegant, very classy, very occasional in my opinion, and lasts a fairly decent amount of time. But you could tell the nuances are just a little bit cheaper, in my honest opinion, especially when you're talking about higher end fragrances. However, is it a good fragrance? Absolutely. Do I think people should take a look at it and own it? You know, if the smell appeals to you, absolutely. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this. And you can get these when these are on sale at a fairly good price. Is it better than Club de Nuit? Hands down, without a question. Does that make Club de Nuit bad? No, not at all. Totally different fragrance. But in my opinion, I think the next barrier breaking from dupes is the Middle Eastern fragrances, just because of how they kind of do things. In my opinion, I'm not a fan of Middle Eastern fragrances whatsoever. Like, I just don't have the tolerance for it. But some people love this, and I can't even hate on it because you do smell great. So when we talk about what gets elevated from here, let's bring in our next fragrance. Our next fragrance would be sort of the designer side, the barrier breaking trend. And this to me is, I featured this on quite a few videos before, I think. This is Bottega Veneta Salvia Blue. This is a freshie. So if we're going apples to apples, when we're talking about freshies, Club de Nuit to this, what you get with this is a beautiful citrus fruity blend. In my opinion, very close, similar to the Tiger type of DNA, where it's nice, it's vibrant, it's fresh, it's bursting with energy and enthusiasm. It's very upkey. It keeps your mood very nice, and it's beautiful for the summer. It's a designer. It's a designer fragrance from the house of Bottega Veneta. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. But to me, when I think about designer fragrances, I think about the concerns about longevity. And without fail, this does have concerns with longevity. Because in my opinion, I think designers do a lot of things on the synthetic realm. The blending is more so to kind of keep up with what's in the market, so that you're looking at things that are mass produced. Quality control could be right? Iffy. But in my opinion, does the scent smell amazing? Absolutely. Probably one of my favorite summer fragrances in my collection because it's really vibrant. I think this juice is phenomenal, and Bottega Veneta does an excellent job And again, if this is the last step in your destination, in your fragrance journey, you're not going to be unhappy. You're going to be pretty happy with where you're stopping. So in my opinion, this is not a bad offering, but I think there's so much more to kind of be had, especially now when you're creeping up in the price point, right? A bottle of this, I don't even know retail. I think you'd be looking at 250 Canadian, 300 Canadian, around there, right? You're looking at something pricey. So at that point, I'd say I'd encourage looking for something a little bit more. And a little bit more is the next bottle. Now, the next bottle, we're still keeping in the designer realm, but we're keeping in the designer privé. And even though it doesn't follow suit in the sense of it being a freshy fragrance, we'll be talking about the wonderful, the lovely YSL Yves Saint Laurent Tuxedo. Now, if you're a fan of Tuxedo, if you know about Tuxedo, you know, right? It's hands down one of the best patchouli fragrances that I've smelt. I love this stuff. And I don't even know what it is. I don't know how to check batches or anything like that. Maybe I lucked out, but this lasts. This to me lasts a very long time on my skin, on my clothes. Very happy with this. I think this will forever be in my collection. But YSL Tuxedo is that extra step in the designer stage. You're getting something that is a little bit more focused on certain notes. For example, patchouli. You get that highlight. You get that careful consideration. You get that differentiation amongst fragrance. Now it doesn't feel like this is competing with too many others because they're doing their own thing. That's why I personally like the privé when it comes to the designers. You get a little bit more quality, a little bit more thought, and sometimes you get a fragrance that will last you sentimentally a very long time. It'll always be a part of your collection. You may want backups, things like that. So in my opinion, Tuxedo is a great barrier breaking fragrance, especially if you're just into designers. You've smelt your Terre d'Hermès, you've smelt your, Dior Sauvage, things like your Bleu de Chanel's, things like that. In my opinion, this would be the next step. And you would be fully happy. Almost to the extent that I think the designer privés, would be better than the next level of fragrance that I'm going to show you. So let's move on to the next level. Now, the next level of fragrance is the niche. And as much as I like to say there's different categories to niche, which in my opinion there are, Creed is one of the more entry type of level fragrances towards the niche. And the reason why I say that is their scents aren't necessarily simplistic. They're executed fairly well. There's definitely a bunch of differentiation to them, a little bit of pioneerism to it, meaning that some of the scent profiles may be new to you at this point. However, in terms of batch variants, in terms of quality control, in terms of little nuances that they do with some of the releases, there's questionability with it. And as much as I love this fragrance, which I do, and again, this is probably something that will stay in my collection forever, this is Creed Viking. As you can tell from the start of the story, I upgraded from a sample to a bottle, and luckily I lucked out with my batch. This is the first iteration of releases, so I got super lucky. Now, with Creed, the thing that I love about them is it's very easy to wear. So the transition into a niche becomes a little bit more friendly. It's something that you're used to. I think a lot of people overstay their welcome in this category. And the reason why I say that is you have brands like Creed, you have your brands like Initio, you have your brands like PDM, which I am not too much of a fan of for reasons. I just think you're really teetering the line between niche and designer. And it's almost, in my opinion, a little bit cowardice to stay here and say I've experienced niche. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful term at all. It's just there's so much more to offer. Don't be afraid, is all I'm saying. And as much as I love Viking, which I really do, because it's a beautiful, spicy fougere aromatic, stunning in cooler weather, there's so much more that I think is worth exploring. And again, if we're talking retail, you're looking at 500 to 600 Canadian for a Creed fragrance. I know you can get them elsewhere at different prices. I'm not going to touch that. It is what it is. You do your research. I just think when you're talking about quality control, use of ingredients, it doesn't necessarily pass the bill that I'm looking for, especially for a barrier breaking fragrance. Do I think it's better than some of the Privés? Yeah, for sure. For sure, some. But in my opinion, when I'm talking about Tuxedo versus Viking, I'm going with Tuxedo 90% of the time. I think Tuxedo is just that much more wonderful. But when you're talking about entry into niche, this is a barrier breaking fragrance to me. I think, you get to experience a different type of quality, the different type of thought process, different type of competitiveness in this category. I think Creed is a wonderful house to kind of get started into because, again, the fragrances wear really, really well. And I think, it's just moving from a designer to this, much more easier, much more friendly. So let's talk about the next fragrance. We're truly getting into the barrier breaking side. And what I mean by this is think about your designer fragrance. Terre d'Hermès, for example, from Hermès. Beautiful vetiver, beautiful citrus notes, very, very nice, very, very elegant, very, very clean, much different than the other designers in that category. In my opinion, Hermès and Cartier, two of the best designers houses, in my honest opinion, next to Guerlain. Guerlain is also very, very good. But when we're talking about something that's a barrier-breaking fragrance, this is Raja Dove. Now, in my opinion, do I think they're better than Creed? I think they take the next step. I think the perfumery done by Raja himself, phenomenal. And Vetiver was a fragrance that really, really captured my soul because I'm a huge fan of vetiver myself. And the way that this is done was eye-opening. It made me think differently. It made me want differently. It made me take my next crave to the next level, the barrier-breaking level. And what I love about this is a stunningly dry, sparkling vetiver. It's dry, but it's juicy. It's sparkling. It's in the air. It's just something that's so addictive. It feels fluttery. It feels like a burst of energy, yet still earthy. It's something that I haven't in the previous categories experienced. When you talk about Terre d'Hermès, they play it safe with the citrus blend. It's very, very mass appealing. It's very easy to love. With a vetiver, you have to be searching for a vetiver. You have to be into vetiver to enjoy this type of fragrance. And if you are in for a treat. This is the level, in my opinion, where you're talking about the Parfum Cologne. You have the Parfum Pour Homme. That's a different price range and a smaller bottle. I think the Parfum Cologne has the best bang for your buck. It's just wonderful. 100 ml, you're looking at, don't quote me on it, I think you're looking at roughly about 300-ish. Sometimes you can get it for a better deal. But in my honest opinion, I just don't think you get better bang for your buck than this. The quality is there. The presentation is there. The beautiful bottle is there. The juice is phenomenal. Do I wish it lasted longer? Absolutely. But it is what it is. I think the fragrance is absolutely stunning. It takes that next dare-ish type of leap. It's not safe, but it's not too, dangerous. For example, like an Amouage, and I think Amouage does a great job of the fragrances that they release. But in my opinion, I think Vetiver from Roja is stunning. Stunning. I was on a mission to find a bottle of this, and I'm so happy that I have it in my collection. The Parfum Pour Homme, much more elegant, much better of a wearing, less sparkly in my opinion, less popping off of the skin than this. I think this one is a ball of energy. The Parfum Pour Homme is really, really nice, subtle, clean, and a great iteration of this. Having both, I don't necessarily think would be a bad thing, but money. So we'll move on to the next one, and we'll keep it actually at the same house. Now, the next fragrance that I'm going to talk about is a eye-opening fragrance. I'm just looking down at the rest of the fragrances here because to me, yes, this is a barrier breaking fragrance. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. If you're into oud and you're into kind of experiencing maybe the more drier side, maybe the more animalic side, not too many fragrances outdo this, in my opinion, especially on this level. And this is from the House of Raja. This is Musk Oud. Stunning bottle, stunning presentation. Everything about this fragrance is wonderful. It's a treat. It's an experience. When you're at this level of perfumery now, you're looking more so for the journey that the fragrance takes you on. And the quality of the ingredients is phenomenal. You take a look at Fragrantica, you won't be able to tell anything from anything. This is such a wonderful fragrance. And kill me if you want, do whatever you guys do if you want. In my opinion, I think Musk Oud is a wonderful Bukhur type like fragrance. It's very smoky, beautiful incense, wonderful oud. It's a Bukhur type like fragrance. It's the coals that Middle Easterns burn, and it releases a wonderful smoky aroma, incensey type of aroma. Now, the part where you might disagree or kill me, there is a fragrance house by the name of Spirit of Dubai called, there's a fragrance by the name of Diwan by the Spirit of Dubai. A lot of people hail that fragrance. In my opinion, I don't think it holds anything to this. I think Musk Oud is in a different category, and that's what I mean by barrier breaking fragrances. You have fragrances that kind of imitate and try to be there. And at a point in time, you're going to sit there and you're going to look at it and be like, I don't really want to wear this. When I take a look at this bottle, how beautiful the juice is, I can't wait to wear this fragrance. I can't wait for the journey it takes me on. It's so clean. It's so smooth. It's so ethereal. In my opinion, a barrier breaking fragrance, this could be at the top. All right, now continuing on with the other fragrances. I do apologize for the phone ringing in the background, my apologies, but that's gonna stay in the video because I'm not re-recording. But either way, now the next barrier breaking fragrance to me is from the House of Pure Distance, and this is white. What makes this a barrier breaking type of fragrance? Because when we're talking about Raja Dove's Musk Oud, you'd think that would be the pinnacle of perfumery. You wouldn't be wrong. However, discovering Pure Distance and the house, what they do, the way that they perfume their fragrances, it's different. It's different. While Musk Oud has a level of it being a little bit loud, Pure Distance's white does not. The blend in this fragrance is masterful. It literally feels like you're standing at the gates of heaven. The delicateness of the fragrance, the way that the fragrance blooms off of your skin in intervals, so it makes you crave it even more. It takes you on that spiritual, mental journey. It's by far, I think, in my opinion, a wonderful barrier breaking fragrance because now you're at a point where you're sitting there, you spray the fragrance and you're just like, yeah, this is good. Forget about it. It comes back around. Whoa, this is good. Forget about it. Comes back around. God damn, like this is great. This is amazing perfumery. That's what I felt when I was wearing this fragrance. And even though it leans feminine, so be it. I don't care. I love my white florals. To me, I think Pure Distance's white is just something that takes perfumery to the next level, to the level that your mind may not necessarily be used to or or just kind of experience. It's, in my opinion, I think it's definitely a one-of-a-kind type of wearing and experience, but it's just done so well. And the way that they capture the white florals, the tuberose, the jasmine, in my opinion, is in a different league. I just don't see too many perfumes doing it that much better, where I'd want to wear this almost 24/7. Whether it be me or whether it be my wife wearing this, I just think that whoever wears this at that time and place and I get a whiff of it, I'm in a very special place. In my opinion, I think this is a barrier breaking fragrance. So we'll move on to the next one. We got 4 more, guys. 4 more. Now, some people would say this is the Cadillac of fragrances. This is something that the UK, I'm gonna stop. This is something that the UK cannot get better from, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of people will say this is an expensive dupe house. Whichever side you reside at, that's cool. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'll say this, in my opinion, if there's a DNA that I absolutely, absolutely love, I kind of want the best version of it anyways. So we'll be talking about Bottega or Bottega Hanuman. Now this is from the Zodiac line. As you can tell, I got quite a few of Bottega. Do I regret it? I don't know. I don't know. But is the Zodiac line the best of the best? I'll say this, no. I think the Sapphire line is much, much better. That's just my honest truth. In fact, if you're talking about maybe a little bit more originality, I think the Sapphire line might have a little bit more originality than the Zodiac line, but it is what it is. When I talk about the best of the best DNA, I'm talking about Bal d'Afrique. A lot of people will say, oh, I love Bal d'Afrique, but I'm only getting 4 hours off of my skin. A lot of people will say, well, I love Bal d'Afrique, but I can't really smell it afterwards. Hanuman, to me, I wore this from 6 a.m. all the way to 1 a.m. the next day, coming home from a flight, working my butt off. This was still singing off of my skin. This is beautiful stuff. Is it very similar to Bal d'Afrique? Yeah, it has its citrus touches, which differentiates it a tiny bit, but all in all, if you do wear this, you do spray this on your skin, you will be reminded of Bal d'Afrique. The price point is ridiculous. You're looking at $1,300, but the reason why I think it's a barrier-breaking fragrance is because Christian Provenzano perfumed Hanuman. Christian Provenzano also perfumed Sospiro's Contralto. People will say Sospiro's Contralto smells identical to Hanuman. Yes and no. On a basic scale, yes. On a fragrance scale, absolutely not. No. The way that Sospiro's Contralto wears, and again, literally the same DNA. You're talking about Bal d'Afrique with citruses. The way that Sospiro Contralto wears is it's vibrant. It's singing off of your skin. It's everywhere. It's electric, in my opinion. I think, you know, I don't necessarily want to say it's a juvenile fragrance, but it wears like a juvenile type of fragrance. Juvenile meaning that a younger person would wear this. In my opinion, Hanuman is special. And the reason why I say this is you'll spray Hanuman on your skin and it'll sing, it'll stay, it'll be one with you as a person. You're not a fireball or a firecracker, just kind of, you know, having your fragrance go this way, that way, and being loud unnecessarily. No, the refinement in this fragrance is world class to the extent that it makes you say, Sospiro gave Christian Provenzano a briefing, and Bottega gave Christian Provenzano the same briefing, and they said, this is what high quality ingredients will get you. And Sospiro said, well, this is what entry niche to middle niche ingredients will get you. And you could tell the difference in the quality and the difference in wearability. So this is why, in my opinion, I think this is a barrier breaking fragrance. Is it worth the $1,300 to $1,600 Canadian that you pay for it? That's up to you. It depends where you are in your fragrance journey. In my opinion, I love this. I love wearing this. This is special occasion type of stuff. I love it. I love it. Would I buy it again? I think one bottle is more than enough, and I probably won't get through a full bottle in my entire career of fragrances. It is what it is. I love this stuff, and this would be a mainstay in my collection. Relatively new to this house, and a lot of people have introduced it to me and kind of said their piece about it, and I didn't believe it at first. I thought Bottega was the Cadillac or the Holy Grail, the Bentley, the Rolls Royce of fragrances. It's from the house of Henry Jacques. Now, what I would say, the reason why this is a barrier breaking fragrance, this is in a class of its own. If you need the best of the best, the ingredients are the best of the best, the perfumer is the best of the best, this is what we're talking about. Henry Jacques is world class. It's expensive, yes, but the quality is by far some of the best in fragrance I've ever smelled in my life. It's beautiful, it sings, it's smooth, it's refined, it's elegant. This is some suit and tie shit. This is wonderful. This one that I'm holding is Monsieur Bouquet, or Monsieur Bouquet. Oof, kill me, Jesus Christ. Monsieur Bouquet. And it's just stunning. But what I'd say is, when you're talking about fragrances like this, your mentality needs to be targeted. You're not going to buy every single fragrance in the line, nor should you buy every fragrance in the line. You have to ask yourself and others within the community, what do these guys do best? And from my understanding, fougere is what they do best. Fougere meaning barbershop-like style, clean, elegant, manly, stuff like that. And that's what you stick with. You stick with the greatness of what they do. I wouldn't necessarily venture out and take a chance on other things unless I smell it or unless I'm really, really in love with it, because price point for them, I don't necessarily think you could get more or better bang for your buck with some of the lower tiers. That's what I'm saying. Jumping up doesn't necessarily mean better, but the quality of this is phenomenal. Research, see what they specialize in, and that's what you capitalize in. When people say, oh, you know, I'm grabbing Creed Aventus because Creed Aventus I've heard is the best Creed of all of them. Yes, that's more design, that's more niche entry designer, so more people will be wearing this. When people say, oh, you should get, you know, Bonjour for Men or Roy Sans Equipage from Henry Jacques, not too many people are going to be wearing that. So you're still going to have your own uniqueness. You're still going to have your own identity when you're in your own vicinity. So just kind of keep that in mind. Don't get swept up by trying everything that the line has to offer or buying everything that the line has to offer. Really do your research and keep it targeted, because in my opinion, that's what you buy the house for, or what you buy from the house. So this is Monsieur Bouquet from Henry Jacques. Now I got two more. I'm going to group up these two because I think they're worth talking about. Now, you're finished with niche. You're finished with luxury. You're finished with designer. You need something that will blow you away. I'm there. I am with you guys. We'll be talking about Ensar Oud. This is Homerus or Homerus or whatever, however you want to pronounce it. Okay. For a 15 ml, see how skinny it is, how small the juice is. It's expensive, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's not worth it. And the reason why I say that is 2 sprays, I feel like I'm engulfed. 1 spray and I'm comfortable. 1 spray of a 15 ml in comparison to spraying 5 of something else, you're getting about 1/5 of the use than you would a regular bottle. So when you talk about that, the bang for your buck is technically there, because the potency of these types of fragrances which are artisanal, is crazy. And the potency is nuts. The reason why is because of the natural ingredients that are used in these fragrances. The ouds, the leathers, the ambergris, the musks, the everything, the animalics, everything, the florals is stunning. The concentration is stunning. The depth of the perfume is stunning. From what you spray from the intro to what you get in the dry down to the very next day, even on one spray, is something else. It's something that I think you should definitely work your way towards, even if it's skipping all these steps. Maybe you go from designer privé to maybe something like this. I think it's definitely worth it because it gives you an idea of what perfumery is really about, right? Double check your houses, right? See who's doing it great, who's offering the type of fragrances that you like. In this type of category, you want to kind of stick to the fragrances and notes that you know and you love. And in my opinion, it's easy to get carried away because they're only 15 ml and buy more than you have to. But I do find that there could be a lot of redundancies in this category. So be careful. Having to sample them are more difficult because they do come in smaller offerings, and the larger 100 ml offerings are usually in the thousands plus. So just be careful with that. That's all I'm saying. But Ensar Oud's Humorous is phenomenal. The best leather fragrance that I have in my collection that I've put my nose on. I would love to upgrade this. Now, since we just talked about Ensar Oud, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite houses, and this is the house of Jinko Store. Now, this is another artisanal based house. And in my opinion, I think the level of perfumery, now we're talking about same type of ingredient style as Ensar Oud, you know, different type of artisanal, you know, type of houses. But now we're talking about the value of the perfumer. Now, the perfumer here is absolutely in a different league, something that I've never quite experienced in my life. And the reason why I think these two, Ensar and Assam, Sunset and Assam, are barrier-breaking fragrances is because, again, the quality of ingredients and the way that the journey unfolds in different stages throughout the wearing experience is just unmatched. It's not something that you'd ever find in niche, designer, dupes, Middle Easterns, nothing like that. And when you get to this level, you'll understand why I rank Middle Eastern fragrances as low as I do. Sunset in Assam, even though it's unavailable, I do apologize for showing you an unavailable fragrance, is done so extremely well. It's mind-blowing. It's emotional. It's a journey. It makes you think of what perfumery means, right? Different regions. What does it mean? The ingredients used. What does it do? With Ensar Oud, I was finally able to discover what ambergris actually smelt like, and it was wonderful. With Sunset in Assam, I get to enjoy the ouds. I get to enjoy the way that the cacao unfolds, how warming it is. And in my opinion, if you do ever find a bottle of Sunset Assam, snatch it up. Especially if you like that hot chocolate type of smell, which doesn't lean gourmand in the sense that it's like, oh, this is like sweetie oud. It's very sweet. It's very patisserie. It smells obnoxious. No, 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 no. This is comforting, warm. To me, when I was in a car on a road trip, I was asking my uncle who's from India. I was like, hey, what do you know about Assam? What do you know about Kerala? Because I have Sunset in Kerala as well. Or Karela. And he kind of explained, he said, you know, Assam is I think he said in the northern region, and it's very cold up there. And it made sense. It made sense because it reminds me of, you know, huddling up, hot chocolate, spending quality time as a family, you know, just being in the atmospheric place of children playing in the background, grown adults talking over a nice, beautiful, warm cup of chai or tea or coffee or hot chocolate. And it's just, life is unfolding. That's kind of where this takes me. And with the Sunset line, it's done so well. It's done so well. The cool thing about Sunset in Assam is or the sunset line is, if you're interested and you don't follow Jinko Store, follow them on their Instagram. Once the fragrance is released and it's sold out, it's gone. It's not coming back. And the reason why is because of the ingredients used. It's very, very situational. They don't want variations of fragrances, which I wholeheartedly believe in. And it's a great testament to the quality that they pump out. Sunset in Assam to me is one of my favorites from Jinko Store. I think it's just eye-opening perfumery. And I don't know. I think what this does to me is it makes me say, I don't think I need to search for more. And I think this broke the barrier for me. When people say, you know, Black Phantom from Kilian is a gourmand hot chocolate type of fragrance, it will never come close to what this does or what this replicates. And to me, I like that. I like that because even though, yes, this does cost money and it's expensive for a 30 ml, when people go out and they keep searching for that perfect type of fragrance with similar notes, and they say, look, I got this and I got this and I got this and I got this, all within the same fragrance category. Sure, you got 400 ml, 100 ml of different bottles that do technically the same thing. I got 30 ml of juice, which I need to spray very minimally. That takes me on a journey that makes me not want anything else in the same category, because nothing, in my opinion, would come close to it. To me, that's a barrier-breaking fragrance. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it ran long, but I love you guys. Thank you guys for sticking through with me. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Share, like, do everything you got to do to promote this channel, because I want to bring you the best content with the best fragrances. That's all that I want. So much love. Peace out. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Let me know what your barrier breaking fragrances are. Peace out. Bye.